Well, so much for getting these out by Friday. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Here's some comic reviews from March 2nd, 2016. Black Widow #1. Written by Chris Samnee and Mark Waid, art by Chris Samnee, and color by Matthew Wilson. I absolutely adored the Waid Samnee Daredevil series, and when I found out they were coming back for another title, I was thrilled, especially because it's Black Widow, one of my favorite Marvel characters of all time. This issue itself is also a really great read and a wild start to the series. It's actually very dialogue light, instead focusing on Black Widow escaping from S.H.I.E.L.D. after she stole something mysterious, and the art and the paneling makes it really immersive and makes you feel and hear every single sound and punch and kick and explosion in this comic. Obviously, since this issue is so dialogue light, they're gonna have to drop some exposition bombs in the following issues, but if they're anything as thrilling as this, I cannot wait to see more. A-Force #3, written by Kelly Thompson with G. Willow Wilson, art by Jorge Molina, and color by Matt Milla. I really wish this comic would stop underwhelming me. It should be exciting. I mean, it's supposed to be Marvel's premier flagship girl power title, but instead, so far all it's done is repeat the same plot points over and over again. I mean, at least in Secret Wars, they had kind of an excuse because maybe it was constrained by the setting, but we should have a lot more free reign now that we're in the mainstream Marvel universe. Instead, this issue is basically just a rehash of everything that happened in the previous one, except for maybe some stuff in the ending, though, to be honest, I'm not even sure what happened in the ending because it's that ambiguously written. The only thing I like about this comic right now is Singularity, and judging by that ending, she may not even be around much longer. Spider-Man #2, written by Brian Michael Bendis, art by Sarah Pichelli, and color by Justin Ponzer. Both this and the previous issue of Adjectiveless Spider-Man very much feel like a refresher of Miles Morales' Ultimate storyline, where he had to fill in for Peter Parker, although the difference being that instead of Peter Parker dying, he simply moved elsewhere. Now, I don't mind that too much, but that's mainly because I wasn't into comics when Miles Morales first appeared, so I never experienced his original storyline, and so I understand if other people who did read that when it first came out would feel like this is kind of a redo. That being said, there are still a few things that make this comic different from the original, one of them being that Miles is no longer the only spider hero running around. He's joined this larger family of spider-themed super beings. And the other main thing that has changed is a development that happens in this issue where footage of his fight scene is released to the public, and they notice through a tear in his costume that he is a kid of color. And a lot of people start debating that, and especially the YouTube community and the vlogging community all of a sudden are aflame with people celebrating this representation, but Miles has to ask himself what it means and what makes him different from all these spider heroes, because as he says in the comic, he doesn't want to be Black Spider-Man. He just wants to be Spider-Man. And so this is going to be a really interesting exploration of what it means for him to be Spider-Man and what it means to be Spider-Man in general that I'm really looking forward to reading. Deadpool #8, written by Jerry Duggan, art by Matteo Lolli, and color by Ruth Redmond. It feels like we're in the middle of Deadpool mania right now. I mean, the movie is hilarious, and it is doing really well, and I'm pretty sure the comic, which was very successful before, is doing even better now that people are coming into it from outside of the comics fandom. Unfortunately, this issue really does not capitalize on that very much. I mean, there are some funny parts here and there, but for the most part, it's very serious and dramatic, and one of the things that makes Deadpool so funny is because so often his madness, it comes head-to-head with very serious characters who are just trying to deal with it, and he just completely pulls the rug out from under them because he's so zany. But this isn't really happening here. He's almost as serious as the people he's dealing with, so it really takes away from the appeal of the entire character. And this is the beginning of a new arc, sort of, so I'm hoping things get a little bit more silly here on out, but in the meantime, I was just left very underwhelmed by this issue. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers #1, written by Kyle Higgins, art by Henry Prosetia, and colors by Matt Herms. Ay, Zordon, Reed is attacking! What do we do?
Assemble a team of teenagers with attitude.
Go, Power Rangers! So you could probably say I'm a bit of a Power Rangers fan. I mean, it is a really awesome time to be a fan of Power Rangers. I mean, between the Dino Charge doing really well and the movie coming out soon, and now we've got this comic, and we're going to have a Pink Ranger comic coming out in a few months, I am just really happy that this franchise is making a comeback. And this comic is pretty enjoyable too. It's kind of like the modern Archie comics in that they have the same tone and theme, but they've kind of updated it in terms of time period and the fact that people are actually getting some character development. And this stays true to that. It stays true to the characters while still allowing them to act like real people and has some really great action pieces too. One of the best things about this, though, is that even though the arc is centering around Tommy, he's not going to be the complete spotlight hog that he was in the series, as shown when other subplots for other Rangers start cropping up, most especially with Zach, something happening in his life outside of his Ranger duties. So this will be interesting to read. Though I should probably mention that even though this says issue number 1, it's really actually the second issue. The first issue was a 0 issue released in January, and the thing with 0 issues is that they're supposed to act as prologues and get people excited for the series, but not actually be required to be read so that people who come in with the number 1 issues aren't completely lost and floundering. However, everything from the 0 issue goes directly into the number 1 issue, and not a lot is explained. A lot of things that happen you are expected to understand because they were established in the 0 issue rather than this issue. So if you're going to read this comic, I suggest you find that 0 issue at some point before starting into the series proper. Well, that was all I had in this week's rather small comics haul. However, I'll have a new batch next week, so tune in then to see my reviews of those. Until then, I will see you later.